right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 41 of the Dunk Dynasty podcast. New week, brand new week, and lots of brand new stuff going on in the NBA, which we obviously are going to get down to and discuss. I got myself here, Panache and Yashanu, got Trigger, Trae, Mitchell. We are here to discuss what is happening in the NBA, and what is happening in the NBA is that now we have another team that is one game away from the NBA Finals. The Dallas Mavericks go up 3-0 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of an upset because they were the underdogs going into the series, but they are now ahead and one game away from the NBA Finals. So this episode will be discussing that alongside why is there now two conference final series that are 3-0, what teams could have caused these teams that are up 3-0, some problems. Then also discuss some of the trade targets for the Pelicans, see if they're going to make any moves, all the news that's been coming out about them. Then why is Jayson Tatum so hated? Why does the media, why as fans do we hate him so much? And then we'll finish up with predictions about the Pacers vs Celtics game 4 tomorrow. But Trigger Trae, what is up, man? Monday, brand new week. How you feeling? How you doing?
Feeling a lot better than I was on Saturday night. That's
Not
for sure.
dusty.
We had a bottomless brunch, mate, and tell you what, started out with a hiss and a roar, got back, cracked open another can. Next thing I know, good night.
Bottomless brunch does that to you, bro. Mimosa. What were you on? Mimosas, the spritz. What were you doing?
Man, I felt like the Indiana Pacers out here with all the pace. With the pace I was drinking these bad boys. I had about 8 strawberry margaritas in 2 hours.
And it hits you hard, doesn't it? Life comes at you fast in those bottomless brunches.
And I tell you what, he lay down on the couch and got the 1-2 Mayweather, and I was out.
Later bowl, and he was on to Sunday. But good episode yesterday, episode 40. Go check that out, by the way, if you haven't listened to it just yet. But here we go, man. Game 3, Mavericks and Timberwolves. This was a series that I think many of us all said this might go 7. This has all the makings of a great series. We're 3 games in. It's 3-0 in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. 1 game away from the NBA Finals. Wow, 116-107. What was your thoughts on that game 3, Trae Mitchell?
The Luka and Kyrie show. That's my thoughts. 20 points combined in the fourth quarter is incredible from these fourth quarter closes. Like, man, they bring the crowd into it. They play hard defense when they need to, and they just look unstoppable in their clutch. Like, whatever you do, Luka's going to make the right thing, the right play. Kyrie's going to make the right play. And the chemistry of this team is almost as good as the Nuggets, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, remember all those things people were saying? There's only one ball. Luka and Kyrie aren't going to work. When Kyrie was a free agent in the offseason, everyone was saying, "Oh, Kyrie's definitely out. He's not going to want to play with a young superstar, who's not really known as a passer who's very ball dominant." And then now look at this team. And also credit to what's his name? Nick something. I forgot what his name. Nico Harrison, I think, is the GM of the Dallas Mavericks. He deserves some crazy credit because he's the one who went out there mid-season, saw that the Mavericks went where they needed to be in terms of player personnel, and then went out there. Daniel Gafford. Who else was the other one that they got? It was Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. Yeah. And moved Grant Williams. I think I forgot the other players. But anyway, brought those two in, and they have just been, crazy additions to this team. They've helped drive this team to, where they are. Obviously, Luka and Kyrie are the main drivers, but these guys have also been pushing, carrying their weight as well, more than, what they probably were expected to do. And now you have a team that probably, if you asked 40 games ago, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, who was going to be in the conference finals or who was going to be 1 game away from the finals, not many people would have been saying the Dallas Mavericks.
But you guys know how high I was on the Mavericks.
You were too.
I believe in this team, and man, they're so fun to watch. Their crowd too is one of the loudest crowds you hear on the TV. It's big time. And Daniel Gafford, last minute of the game, he got a block, he got and a crazy and one dunk. The crowd, the crowd wasn't going to let the Timberwolves walk away with that one. Tell you that.
And it all comes back. I don't want to reference it again, but I have to reference it. It comes back to the regular season, the habits that you build in the regular season, the traits that get associated to you in the regular season. The Dallas Mavericks were notorious, or not even notorious. They were known for being great late game finishers. The execution, the clutch, brilliant. Last 5 minutes of the game, they got Luka, they got Curry, two great decision makers. If it was a close game, Dallas is most likely going to win because of those two. Whereas on the other side, you had the Timberwolves, who in the clutch were horrendous in the clutch from the regular season, and now it's carried into the playoffs because you see these three games. None of these three games have been blowouts. Every single one of these games has come down to the end, and every single time it feels like we've seen the same movie over and over and over again. The last 5 minutes, while the Timberwolves look chaotic, erratic on offense, they don't know what they're doing. They're not getting into sets. They're making the wrong decisions. Anthony Edwards is turning the ball over. Cat's shooting terrible contested threes. The Mavericks coming down, methodical. Kyrie gets a shot. Luka gets a shot, putting the ball into the hands of their best decision makers. They're getting the good results. And you see, last 5 minutes of the game, who was leading? Who was leading heading into the last 5 minutes? The Timberwolves, 104-102. What was the final score? 116-107. They scored 3 points in the last 5 minutes, 14-3 by the Mavericks. And one of those points was a free throw. That shows you all, that tells you everything you need to know about the Timberwolves and the execution late game. And it cost them not just this game, it's cost them 2 other times in this series, plus the one today, 3-0 to the Mavericks, and more than likely on their way out of the playoffs.
Yeah, this is Anthony Edwards. Is anyone panicking in your locker room right now? You claimed after game 2 that not one person was panicking.
I think
I mean, Anthony Towns isn't panicking, but the rest of you probably are.
Anthony Towns, he's happy. Oh, he's ready. He's ready to go to Cancun, man. You see the smiles and everything after the game. He's ready to go, man.
You've got to take a look in the mirror, man. Like, you're like Anthony Davis in the 2020 finals. Like, after game 7 of the Nuggets game, you felt like you had won the NBA championship, but really that was just the second round. And since then, where have you been? Cancun. Well, that's where you're going. That's
Cancun on 3. Cancun on 3. But does this low-key remind you of last year's conference finals? Because to me, when I was watching this game, the whole time, all I kept on thinking to myself, and I'm thinking about game 1, game 2, and game 3, and I think about last year's playoffs and the conference finals, the Nuggets and the Lakers, where I went, bro, what the, like every single game, it felt like it was close, and then at the end, the Nuggets just executed better at the end, and they did that 4 straight times. This series has felt like exactly the same. Every single game has been somewhat, they've all been close. And then what happens at the end? The Mavericks just out execute the Timberwolves. Now, instead of it being possibly 1-1, being 2-1, or even 2-1 in favor of the Timberwolves themselves, you're down 3-0 because late game, it's terrible execution, bro. It really is.
Yeah, if I'm a T-Wolves fan right now, I am pointing the finger at Chris Finch or the assistant coach that's making all the calls at the moment, because why is Rudy Gobert in the 4th quarter? This guy is a liability offensively. Anthony Towns can't get into the post, or maybe he just decides he doesn't want to post up, and he clogs up the paint for Anthony Edwards. Like, Anthony Edwards needs to get downhill. That's where he's most dangerous. Attacking the basket and drawing fouls. But shit, he's being cooked in the 4th quarters, especially. It's something that needs to change.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's definitely on coaching, because the most telling play for me when I looked at the T-Wolves was the last. I think they had a timeout just at that 3-minute mark. I think it might have been the use or lose a timeout that you get. Since you have 3, you lose the 3rd timeout when there's 3 minutes left in the 4th quarter. They come out of that timeout, and you are just in the timeout. So you obviously you must have drawn something up. So how come the shot that you get from that is a last second Hail Mary 3 by Mike Conley? You were just in the timeout. Surely you have drawn something much better up than that. To come out of a timeout with 3 minutes left in the game, and that's the shot that you get. That's awful, bro. Because that's the difference. Whereas you have on the other side, remember the last game in game 3, Jason Kidd showed why he has outcoached the Timberwolves. Whether it's Chris Finch, whether it's Mike Conley, Jason Kidd game 3 showed why he's outplayed them. He's outcoached them. What happens? I think it's before the 3-minute mark where he can lose a timeout. He subs Kyrie for a defensive position, gives Kyrie a break because Kyrie hadn't been off the court for such a long time. Then what happens? They get a stop defensively, calls the timeout before the 3-minute mark, brings Kyrie back on for the offensive position. And don't quote me, but I think they might have scored on that next position when he came back on the court. Why? Because of Jason Kidd, and he's just showed this whole series that he is levels above these guys in coaching. But in addition, they've got players who are playing against a team that's not making the right adjustments, which you're going to speak about because you had an adjustment that you were speaking about that you think the team should make.
Yeah, were you quoting on game 2?
Game three at the end of game 3 when they subbed Kyrie out for the defensive position.
Well, they also did that in game 2.
There you go. So every time, every step of the way, they just out coaching, smart decisions.
Kyrie literally set for one defensive position in game 2, just before the 3-minute mark, because he had played the whole fourth quarter. He had 10 points in the fourth quarter at that point or something. He looked gassed.
No, you're right. No, you're right. It's game 2. You're right. Game 2. It was in Minnesota. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Like you say, I was watching that game and I was like, man, this guy, that was smart, that was, and then he got the challenge off, but we won't speak about that because controversial. The biggest adjustment, Gobert and Naz Reid need to swap places in the fourth quarter.
100%.
That guy up the court, Cat, run downhill, Naz Reid, spread the floor, and have the ball in your hands.
That's the one. Bro, that's the adjustment. I think you gotta have courage, bro. If you want to win, sometimes what is it? It's you gotta risk it all, bro. You gotta risk it for the biscuit. If you want to win, sometimes you have to put all the chips into the middle. Yeah, we know that you traded the house for Rudy Gobert, but sometimes what has worked for you to get you to a certain point from the regular season to the playoffs might not work in the playoffs. The perfect example that we all know, what happened, was it 2015 finals when Andrew Bogut was starting for the Warriors, and then they switched it up because they went, bro, we can't keep Bogut in here. LeBron is attacking him at will. We need to start Iguodala. Iguodala needs to be on LeBron, albeit LeBron still cooked, but he wasn't shooting anywhere near as efficient in the last couple of games. This is the change that you need to make. Gobert may start the game, but there's no way, like what you said, no way Gobert should be in the game in the fourth quarter, especially in the clutch moments. Naz Reid and Kyle Anderson need to get minutes. Whether that means Conley and Gobert aren't on the court, that's it, man. That's it. Sometimes you have to change things up. You build a team a certain way. You build a team to be able to beat multiple styles. That's what champions are. Champions in the NBA are able to beat teams who all have different styles. They're able to showcase their strengths or adjust to what they're seeing, what's getting played against them. The Timberwolves haven't done that, but if they're going to win, Gobert cannot see the court in the fourth quarter.
You don't think you would have Mike? You wouldn't have Mike Conley on the court in the clutch?
I don't think I would, because I think with Kyle Anderson, he's able to go at Luka offensively, and that allows you to sort of have another secondary ball handler who's also able to take the load off thing, but another ball handler who can go at the basket and beat someone consistently. I don't think Mike Conley has done that enough for me in this series. And if I'm looking at the clutch moments, I'm like, man, Kyle Anderson not the greatest defender in the world on Luka, but he's doing enough. And offensively, he's also able to go and get himself some baskets or create for others. And I'd rather have that. I'd rather have bigger size on the court because, for example, if you switch Conley onto Luka, let's be honest, nothing's happening. Nothing good is coming from that. Whereas if you switch Kyle Anderson, still nothing's coming good from that. But what's happening? It's more difficult. Kyle Anderson's 6'8". I think Luka's 6'8" as well, probably. They're probably up there same weight. He's able to do a much better job on that. So if you get the switch, you're like, we're happy with that. Conley, you can't switch him off. That's why they're going, Conley, you just show on the screen and try to recover to your man. But we're seeing the series, you can't show against Luke and Kyrie because if you show and recover, what happens? They find a way to expose you every single time. So I think you can't have that situation. You're either going to switch or blitz. You can't be showing because they're going to expose you. You can't drop coverage. They're going to expose you. So I would have Conley off the court for me.
Just a completely different lineup.
Please, I don't want to see Gobert. Gobert cannot be on the court, man.
Change up from you. You're a big Gobert supporter.
Gobert supporter. I was advocating. What was I advocating for him? I think I was advocating for him in the last series against the Nuggets because I went, yeah, you could have him on the weak side but this series you cannot have him on there because, bro, it's been what? All the people on Instagram saying it's spiritual watching Kyrie play pick and roll against Gobert play drop coverage because he's just getting cooked, man. And sometimes you just have to make the change. I don't care how much you traded for him, how much you're paying for him. You can't. If you want to win, he can't be on the court.
Well, that's the next thing you go. Do they even want to win? They're not making winning coaching decisions right now.
And
fully agree. Cost them 3 games. Could easily be 0-3 to the Mavericks right now. But crunch time wins. Like you say, exactly like conference finals last year.
Who can execute the best and who executes the best wins, but also, as we're learning, regular season habits carry over to the playoffs. If you build bad habits or if you have weaknesses, they will show in the playoffs. And we've seen that time and time and again. We've talked about so many teams of what their weaknesses and it's been exposed. So that's the ones. Yeah. So congratulations again, Mavericks. It feels like they've won the series because how much momentum they've just stolen, obviously winning 2 games on the road, then winning again today. So 1 game away from the NBA finals, man. So yeah, that should be good. Moving on as we transition though, given that we've got 2 conference finals, both are 3-0 now, right? Now let's think back. We talked about a little bit about it just then, but looking at the other matchups that we might have gotten, who do you think is the worst matchup for each of the teams that's up 3-0? Like who would have been able to give us a much better conference final series on both sides? We'll start with the Mavericks. Who would have been able to give them a much better challenge?
Well, I feel like the Celtics is the biggest challenge.
We'll talk about on their side in the West, in the West specifically.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely the Nuggets. The Nuggets just had the bad matchup with the T-Wolves. I think they went to 7 games and they blew the lead, but I still think they're a terrific team and should run it back. They would have given Jokic would have done his thing regardless, and he would have coached the Twin Towers of the Mavericks.
Yep.
But Luka and Kyrie, I'm not sure they're still going to do their thing. It would have been a good series, that's for sure. I don't think it would have been a sweep or a gentleman's sweep like what we were seeing right here. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think I've got to say Nuggets as well. I mean, that's the only team because they already beat the Clippers. They already beat the Thunder. I think they would have beat the Lakers as well. Who else was in that playoff? They would have beat the shit out of the Pelicans, 100%. Beat the shit out of the Pelicans. They would have beat the Suns. Yeah. So, it has to be the Nuggets purely because of who the Nuggets have, Jokic. And we saw the regular season, that last regular season game that they had to go all the way to the end and get the Kyrie game winner. But that would have been a fascinating series because Obviously, we know Jokic is unguardable. Then now you know Luka is unguardable, and then who's guarding Luka? No one. Kyrie is going against Jamal Murray. Well, it's a tough
They
series.
would have been good. They would have been good.
Yeah,
Kyrie
freaking
is
hell.
Kyrie's learned how to play defense, and I've
Mm.
never seen this guy this happy ever.
Yeah, he looks happy, man. It must be something with the Mavericks, man. The culture that they've built there. And I mean, they've even got that Legends program. I was listening to Tyson Chandler talking about the other day. He was talking about how he's come in, he's like a mentor to Derek Lively. And you can see Derek Lively's got a lot of Tyson Chandler in him. So I'm not surprised that players are out here, not only just returning to the franchise, but players who are playing right now saying the same thing. They love playing for the Mavs. They look happy, man. And they're about to be even more happy in a couple of games. But yeah, I would say for sure. Got to be the Nuggets. The Nuggets for sure on the West would be the toughest challenge for anyone. How about on the East? We look at the Celtics. If I was looking at it, I thought it was a fully healthy Knicks team is
Heat.
who I had.
Not the Heat. A fully
Nah,
healthy Heat.
nah, hell no, hell no, not this year, not this year, hell no.
Oh, yeah, the Knicks. Just any healthy team really like would have given them a better challenge. They played some injury prone teams or like just they've had a lucky run, a moonwalk as some would say, a moonwalk to the finals.
Yeah, because I definitely would have said Knicks because, bruh, they would have had some good. So then you got OG, you got Hart, DiVincenzo, Randall, Robinson. So you would
Yeah,
have had plenty of size, on there. And then defensively, you're good. Offensively, you can still score the ball. So that would have been a way better series. I still think I don't think any team was beating, for me at least. I had no team beating the Celtics, but I think the
yeah.
Knicks probably, in my opinion, fully healthy, take them 6 or 7 because they've got the scoring punch and they've also got the defensive versatility.
Who have you got hypothetically if Mavs and Celtics play each other, unless there's a miracle?
Or
Who
5.
you go?
Go put your bets on for 2-3 nil comebacks. Nah, but for me, I believe I did say this. I think I said this. Go check the tapes. It's one of the episodes in the first 10 episodes. I said at some point about the Mavericks. I said that the Celtics are the worst matchup possible for the Mavericks. And the reason I said that is because the Celtics, the reason why the Mavericks are so successful offensively is because they hunt the mismatches and let Luka and Kyrie shine. The Celtics switch everything defensively, and every single one of their defenders, other than Al Horford at times, is capable of playing you 1-on-1, and they're more than willing to let their defenders go 1-on-1. And because of that switchability, you're not going to be able to get all these what you call it with Kyrie and Luka coming off screens and being able to find open shooters or finding the lob threats because they're switching everything. So now you're going to have to play 1-on-1, purely Kyrie and purely Luka. I don't think you can beat the Celtics like that. The Celtics will force you to play 1-on-1. These other guys won't be able to get involved. So I've got the Celtics winning the NBA Finals.
I think you also said something similar coming into this T-Wolves series about the defense on Luka and Kyrie. You didn't think
Realize
that,
these guys are going to play drop coverage all series long.
but you didn't believe in the Luka and Kyrie, dominant ball handlers dominating the game. But they've proved you wrong, I would say.
No, they proved me wrong because obviously, okay, I'll say I'm wrong. I was wrong for this series, what I'll say. But what I think is different is that the T Wolves are not switching, so you're able to expose a team coming off the screen if what's his name, go Bears in drop coverage, get lobs, or we saw game one, Kyrie was just floated day, just having the time of his life with floaters. Whereas if you're switching everything, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, someone go check the tapes. I said this. You are not beating a team that switches everything and you're not able to get everyone else involved. That's why they're so dangerous this series. Something that I didn't anticipate is that they're able to get everyone else involved.
They beat the Clippers,
Who?
the Mavericks.
What was the Clippers
They
about?
they
What
tried to
was the
switch
Clippers
it.
about?
they switched everything, like you say.
But to be fair, the Clippers didn't really have Kawhi. I'm not making excuses, but I'm just stating a fact. They didn't have Kawhi, fully healthy Kawhi. If fully healthy Kawhi, are they winning that series? Maybe. But the Celtics, in my opinion, are a much better team than the Clippers, offensively and defensively. Because you're having who? Zubac switch out onto Luka sometimes. Like, I'm happy to take Porzingis over Zubac as a defender on the perimeter if he needs to.
You think Porzingis will contain himself, like hold his own on the perimeter?
That's what they've played throughout the regular season. They've played that way to allow him, well, to have the belief in him to play out there. And I think, he's not stopping Luka. Luka's still going to score, but the difference is that you can't let Luka and Kyrie get everyone else involved. And I think what allows them to get involved is if you play drop coverages and you allow them to drive at you and draw defenders and kick out or throw lobs, that's when it gets dangerous. Like today, the other Mavericks, I think, were what, 16 of 28 from the field? Luke and Curry had 66 points, along with the other guys shooting 16 of 28. Recipe for disaster. If you're switching everything, you're not allowing the lob threats. You're not allowing yourself to leave shooters open, not allowing them to get involved. Like, I would rather Luke and Kyrie go ape shit again like they did today, but everyone else shoots fucking 10 of 28, then 16 of 28, you know?
Mm.
So that's my belief. How about you? What's your thoughts?
High on the Mavericks, and they'll they'll find a way. I feel like they'll find a way. Boston's team is unbelievable. The defense is unbelievable, but we've got the greatest offensive backcourt in NBA history right here. The the T-Wolves were the best defensive team in the league, I believe, in the regular season, and you know it's not working that great right now.
Because they have the biggest anchor in the history of basketball, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is sinking quicker than his stock is sinking quicker than the Titanic right now, for sure, for sure. But I'll put bets on. No. I'm making a condition actually. I will only put bets on if Porzingis is healthy. If Porzingis is not healthy, I'm not putting bets on. But if he is, then I'll put bets on because yeah, I don't trust
Bet
Al
is
Horford.
sweep.
Huh?
Is the bet a sweep?
Nah, the bet is that the Celtics win the series.
Um, Touching on that Porzingis, but
Hmm.
he's known as not the greatest playoff performer. Do you think times have changed?
I feel like the team that he's playing on is, yeah, the Celtics team. They just so well balanced that we've seen it multiple times already, where they don't rely on one person to be the star performer every single night. One person can go off. Derek White can, Jaylen Brown can, Tatum can, and now if you end in Porzingis can. So it's not like he's the main guy or the second guy anymore. Like when he was in Dallas, he was relied upon to be the number two guy. When he was, I don't know if they made the playoffs in New York, but he would have been anyway. This time, he doesn't. He's not relied upon to be that third, the second guy. Maybe not even the third guy, not even the fourth guy. Some nights, because sometimes you've got Drew Holiday that can even step up. So I think that's going to allow him to shine even more. Because one thing that you want him to do as well is you don't want to have him have the pressure of being the number one. I think these guys with the Celtics are almost in a place where none of these guys maybe are actually even number ones on a championship team, but because you've got really solid number twos, no hate to Jayson Tatum, I still think he might be a championship number two. Yeah, it works. That's why it works so well.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that to answer your question. Hopefully, I answered your question.
Yeah, that's I they got such a stacked team. Like they're definitely the favorite to win the championship, and they were the championship favorites coming into the regular season.
Hmm.
I'd be surprised if they didn't win, to be honest. But what I want to win is the Mavericks.
That's it. If Kyrie and Luca win this series, it's going to be this series is the
Yes.
2011 finals. Literally the 2011 finals. You've got the star European on the other team versus the stacked team that is stacked more than ever, you know? And if they win this ring, think about this. If Luka was to win this ring, he's the main guy. I don't want to say anything bad about Curry's already won a ring. He's going to Hall of Fame. Luka, if he wins this ring against the Celtics and he doesn't win another ring, no one will ever care because that's how much people like rate the Celtics. The Celtics have been expected to win since game 1 of the season, since September of last year. We've all thought the Celtics were going to win. So the fact that if they lose to the Mavericks, it's going to be a stain on Tatum's career, but Luka's career, no matter what happens from this point onwards, even if he doesn't win an MVP, would be just, everyone will go, you beat one of the most stacked teams ever. It's okay.
Well, if he does win a championship, he's walking into next season like, you have to prove to me why I'm not the MVP. If he has a similar season to this season, there's got to be someone that plays unbelievable to not give him the MVP. He's showing you that he can win, and he's proved a lot of people wrong.
That's true. But if we move on to the next one, it's about Jayson Tatum and the Celtics. Why does Jayson Tatum get so much hate? That's the one question. You know, I see it everywhere. All these different things that we posted. We post the clips about Tatum, comparing him to all these players, start, bitch, cut, and everyone. The hate for Tatum is crazy. What's your thoughts? What do you think drives the hate for Jayson Tatum?
You're talking to a day one Jayson Tatum hater right here. Day one. As soon as I heard that guy's name get drafted by the Celtics, day one hater. You can ask anyone I know. I was a day one Jayson Tatum hater. I thought Josh Jackson was a far better player. I was wrong.
Josh Jackson.
Yeah, I was wrong there. I don't know, just he's only 19 and the LeBron stuff when he was so young, everyone thought he was just like, don't get me wrong, he is an amazing player. Like, but saying he said, I think might have been All-Star Weekend, he said that something about being the face of the league and stuff like that. I don't think you're in the position to say anything like that, regardless of who you are. You let the fans say you're the face of the league. But it started before then. He's had great teams every season and been to the finals once.
I don't know about the great. I feel like people go at. He probably has the worst career trajectory to be liked in basketball. He went to Duke and then got drafted by the Celtics. Like it's hard to if there's two teams that you don't want to go to or play for and want to be liked, it's probably those two. No one hates Duke in college, everyone hates Duke, and then NBA, everyone hates the Celtics. And then now, the stacked team thing is what also goes against him. But I don't know, because he was still young when he had some of these teams. Like what? 2022. 2022, they were a good team. But the thing that hurts him the most is that he played bad in the finals. Yeah.
Didn't he get drafted to the number 1 seed or something?
What? But that wasn't on him though. That's not his fault.
No, that's not on him. But like, he's been on.
Yeah, but then people forget. People forget that rookie season when they went to the conference finals. Like, bro, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward both weren't there. It was still a team effort, but Jayson Tatum was him, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Marcus Morris, all of them were driving the ship, of course. But still, like, there was no Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. So, okay, we'll give you a pass. 2020, you make it to the conference. 2019, I don't know what they did 2019. But if we fast forward to 2022, unreal playoff run, they lose in the finals. That's the one. That's the only time, in my opinion, where you can really go at him and say, yeah, because he got locked up by Andrew Wiggins. That's on him, But other than that, last year, Game 7, I will say it till the day I die. If Jayson Tatum didn't sprain his ankle in the first minute of the game, they go to the NBA Finals. Do they beat the Nuggets? We'll never know. But they for sure are winning that Game 7, in my opinion.
Thankfully, they didn't win.
So really, but I think, bro, this season, it really does remind me of LeBron. The only thing, there's a blip in between the years, but LeBron went to his first finals when he was with the Heat, or
So,
yeah, first finals with the Heat. Oh, I mean, the first finals was 2007, but this first finals with the Heat was 2011, right? And then what happened? All those collapses in the fourth quarter. Everyone was like, "Oh, LeBron, you never win a ring. LeBron's ass." What happens next year? Wins a championship. That's what I thought was going to happen for Tatum last year, but obviously sprains his ankle game 7. This is the year, and these finals coming up. I think he's got to step up, and the haters are going to turn into fans, bro. I'm calling it right now.
there's one hater that's not going to turn into a fan, and that's me.
Hates Big Deuce. Crazy.
Oh, once a hater, always a hater. Deuces are for
Crazy.
dropping bullets.
So what? Jayson Tatum. Do you think Jayson Tatum is the most hated player since LeBron in 2011? I think so. I was struggling to think of any other player in between that.
It's
Like,
Curry.
there's no. Do you think Curry was hated?
Bro, I hated that guy.
No,
I
but we hated Curry because he was beating us. People actually hated LeBron as as a person in 2011.
it's true. Chris Paul. Or Devin Booker.
If you ask me, Chris Paul for sure. Devin Booker.
Devin Booker's up there.
But you know, Devin Booker is starting to switch me, not because of what he's doing, but because I'm having other players rise above him. So yeah, it's still Chris Paul #1.
Tatum is up there for me.
Crazy.
I've been day one Tatum hater. You could ask Jed, he'll tell you.
Man, that's sad to Tatum. Don't worry, man. Tatum's about to win a ring, and the whole world, you guys will always turn into fans. Don't worry, it's happening soon.
Well, if he doesn't win a ring, then this guy might as well retire.
Yeah, 100%. But looking at some of the trades, this offseason, we know we've spoken about it a couple episodes ago about where teams should go, what they should do. But one of the teams that is now sort of actively in the market, the New Orleans Pelicans, you know, interested in trading for a point guard, which I think it's about damn time because you need a legit point guard. You can't keep playing with, you know, obviously, you know, Zion's going to be point forward in some positions, but CJ McCollum, he's a 2 guard. He's not a 1. You know, Brandon Ingram is a 3. Herb Jones has no ball handling ability, let's be honest. Do you think they make a trade for one of these point guards out there, like a Darius Garland, a Dejounte Murray, a Trae Young? Do you think they can, or do you think they should as well?
I honestly think this. I've thought this for a while. Tyus Jones is the best point guard available. Period. There's no player that will impact any team as good as Tyus Jones will. Just his 3-point shooting was far better this year. His assist to turnover ratio is ridiculous. And yeah, he just makes good reads and doesn't make costly turnovers in the game situations and stuff. Would I go after Darius Garland? Yeah, you could take a risk on him, but you sort of win now, aren't you? Like, or Darius Garland's he's had a rough couple years lately. Who would you go after?
Yeah, I think it's got to be for me. I understand Trae Jones, and I look at that team. I'm like, because Ingram still hasn't signed the extension, right? So do you go? Ingram hasn't signed the extension. That's why I think they might get one of these bigger guards. That one, not one of the bigger name guards, is what I'm saying. Because if Ingram doesn't re-sign, if I'm them, I'm sort of happy to say, okay, listen, we have a team where no matter what happens, in my opinion, Trey Murphy has to start next season. So you go Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and then you've got Zion, right? And then CJ, I think last season for sure. So if Ingram doesn't resign, Ingram has to be the one that gets moved if you still haven't assigned him. So you put Ingram in a package with maybe, do you go like an Alvarado and maybe a Larry Nance or even like a JV in the Ingram and something else and try go after Darius Garland, a Dejounte Murray, or even a Trae Young, because you need a legit point guard. Because I think the way that they've played right now, trying to go point forward with Zion or trying to play CJ as the point guard, it's not working. I think you need to have a legit guy. And because Ingram has expressed, you know, sort of that disinterest, and obviously the rumors came out about him and Willie Green, I go, bro, go get one of these guys. I probably would be against Darius Garland purely because in the playoffs, bro, he is wishy-washy. So I'd rather go for a Dejounte Murray and if possible, go for the big fish. Go get Trae Young.
Yeah, for the Pelicans, for Zion to get peak Zion Williamson,
Mm,
I think JV has to go.
mm,
You need a 3-point shooting big with Zion Williamson. You
mm,
need that paint. You have Jonas Valanciunas. He was hitting threes last year. What happened?
mm.
But if you have him sitting in the corner, Zion's downhill. Not a single person can stop that guy. He is too strong, too fast, and too good. He
100%.
can, he can shoot what 65% from the field as a 6'6" power forward. Come on. You've got to remember that this guy is your franchise player. You've got to build around him. 3-point shooting big and a point guard that can pass and can shoot threes.
That's the perfect mold. You see it. That's what the Bucks did. The Bucks went out and got a guy that fits Giannis's game perfectly. Guy who opens up the lane. Because Giannis, look at it. Since Brook Lopez came, look at the points averages. He's just able to go downhill 1-on-1 because the other big can't help. The other big has to respect Brook Lopez's 3-point shot. Zion is driving into clogged up lanes. He's still being successful, but if you want to get the most out of him, for sure, you need to find a way to get a 3-point shooting big or big, yeah, someone that can open up the game, space the floor more, and then also, yeah, like you say, a point guard that can come in and be the main point guard. Obviously, I want to see positions of Zion, playing as a point forward, but majority of the time, I would love to see Zion get the ball, be able to make quick decision, go to the basket, attack the basket consistently. That's when they're at their best. So if you can go out there, Darius
Miles
Garland, probably your best option because the Cavs probably want to put Mitchell and Ingram, so that's a win-win.
Miles Turner and Tyus Jones, perfect players for that team, I think.
Yeah. If you can get Miles Turner, buddy, okay, now you're talking about being up there with the big contenders in the West for sure, especially with that team.
Especially in the playoffs. Like Miles Turner showing that he is a valuable player. He can shoot threes. He can, stretch the floor, block shots. Like, I think he's an extremely underrated player, especially these playoffs. He's probably been the second best player on that team. Third.
Nah, second, bro. He's second behind Siakam for me. I can't put. He's close with running past, man, but I still got to put Siakam number
Yeah,
one in
but
the
like
thing.
consistently he's 20 and 10 most of the playoffs, I feel like. I would have to double check that, but he's been good.
He needs to learn to post up though. But I feel like he's just molded into that role like a Brook Lopez, where he's
Knows his game.
exclusively 3-point shooter. So it's all right. That's what you need. And yeah, it's the hot commodity right now is 7-footers who can shoot threes. And the Timberwolves, in my opinion, snaked the system so much because they have the hottest commodity that everyone wants on their team, a 7-foot shooting big, except that they've got him on the bench on a 3-year, $52 million deal. Everyone right now would love to have Naz Reid because he's a 7-footer who can shoot the three. Like, imagine him and Zion, bro. Zion would be going open lane every day, man.
Uh, a 7-footer to watch out for next year shooting threes. Tristan Vukcevic on the Wizards. 7'1" gun from the 3-point line. You heard it here first.
A rookie or no?
He played about 10 games at the end of the last season and
Okay.
he averaged about 15 points a game.
All right. Keep an eye out. I, don't watch many games of the Capital team, but we shall keep we
You
shall
never
keep an
know.
eye out. So then, last one could be the last game of the season for the Indiana Pacers at home. I saw the thing that came out today that Rick Carlisle said that he's motivating the players by telling them that the NBA has already started coming over to what's it called Gainsbridge Fieldhouse and started planning the ceremony for after the game. And he used that as motivation to his team. Don't let them celebrate on our home court. So game 4, Pacers Celtics. Trey Mitchell. Is the series over, or are we going back to Boston?
Oh, I think the momentum of the Celtics is steamrolling this team. Get the brooms out.
Get the brooms out, indeed. Same thing. Get the brooms out. It's a sweep. Uh Yeah, no chance.
3-0, it's like demoralizing. You're gonna win. Say you do win this game,
Mm.
you've still got to win 3 more. This team only has to beat you 1 more time. It's, you know, it's not really possible. It's never happened. So
That's why it's 154-0. That's why it's 154-0 because teams can
yeah,
be down. They can win one, they can win two, they can win even three, like the Celtics did last year. But winning that fourth one is always that's the one where yeah, it's not. It's difficult to do.
yeah,
And that's the
I
team as
agree.
well, man. Like if you're going to win a game, game three was the game. You know, all losses are not made the same. And I think some losses take it out of you way more than others do. Like if you lose a blowout, for example, it doesn't hit you hard. We saw the Pacers proved that in the last game. They got blown out in game two. They came out game three, super aggressive, super hyped up, amped up by 18 points. But then the way that they lost, that loss is the one that stings. And I think game four, they're going to put up a fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics pull away, win this game by more. Yeah, I'd say 10 plus points. I'm going to say Celtics by 10 plus.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Jayson Tatum, 35-point closeout game.
Yeah. Do you think Jayson Tatum right now is the odds-on favorite to be Eastern Conference Finals MVP? But do you think anyone can have a game big enough of a game to overtake him to win that award?
Oh, Jaylen Brown would probably only be the other one. He's had a 40-point game. If Jaylen Brown had another 40-point game,
Hmm.
we might be looking at this differently because efficiently wise, Jason Tatum's struggled. Apart from last game, he was very good.
Hmm.
But he struggled 20%, no, less than 20% from three in the playoffs, I think.
But if yeah, I'd say Jaylen Brown would need like a crazy game, like a 40 point, 45 plus point game. Otherwise, I think Tatum, you should have it. But the only other person for me, if Jaylen Brown can go out there, get him. But more than likely, Jayson Tatum will become the only two-time winner of Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
It's only been around 3 years, isn't it?
There you go, man. Shout out Jayson Tatum.
What?
Won it the most times.
LeBron would have it 10 times, but hey, that's a story for a different day.
Literally. The reason they brought it in so they could enhance all these other players' legacies, man. Disgusting. Despicable by the league, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, they could go back and literally give any player the award from the past. It
Oh,
wouldn't be that
yeah.
hard to decide.
Yeah, just add it to the resume. Like, bro, LeBron James, 10-time Eastern Conference Finals MVP, LeBron James. Crazy. That is
He's never lost
wild.
in the conference finals, has he?
Um, did he lose? No, I think he lost to the Magic in
Oh no, he
2009.
lost last year. He lost last year. That's
Yeah,
right.
and he lost last year too. So what? That's 0-2. And I feel like he might have lost one other time as well, maybe to the Pistons. Don't, yeah, we'll see. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, Celtics on their way to another NBA Finals. That's our prediction at least. But obviously, we shall see the games play out today, if you're listening, which will be the 28th of May. But thanks again to everyone for the support. Social media is popping off. Instagram, thanks again to everyone who's supporting and following the page and sharing our posts, sharing the podcast to everywhere. Same thing on Facebook, same thing on TikTok. We really do appreciate it. And make sure if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts, that you share the podcast with your family, your friends, your colleagues. Keep growing the Dunk Dynasty podcast. The army keeps on growing. We're getting massive. And yeah, the bigger we get, the more episodes, more shows, better quality we give out to you guys. So thanks heaps, everyone. And with that being said, episode 41 done and dusted. We shall catch you on the next one. Outro music.